Now, there are supplements that can greatly improve the depth of your sleep and that can shorten the latency to fall asleep. And here I'm not referring to melatonin. As many of you perhaps already know, I'm not a fan of melatonin for a variety of reasons, mainly the fact that most melatonin supplements out there don't actually contain the exact amount of melatonin that's listed on the bottle. They contain either much, much more or much, much less. And that melatonin is a potent hormone that has impacts on not just sleep, but on other hormone systems as well. The supplements that I've suggested and that I personally take in order to improve my sleep are magnesium threonate, spelled Threonate. And interchangeably with that, one could use magnesium bisglycinate. I do consider those interchangeable because both cross into cells and across the blood-brain barrier in much the same way. That makes them better candidates for improving sleep than some of the other forms of magnesium. So magnesium threonate, theanine, 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 and something called apigenin, which is essentially what you find in chamomile that is the reason why chamomile can make you sleepy. Apigenin, apigenin. The dosages for those, etc., are described in the toolkit for sleep and why some people might want to avoid theanine. I'll just tell you, for those of you that have very intense dreams or that might sleepwalk or have night terrors, you might want to avoid theanine because it can enhance the emotional and elaborate nature of dreams. Other people like that. So I'll take magnesium threonate, theanine, and apigenin as a so-called sleep stack about 30 to 60 minutes prior to sleep. I do not take them during the day. There is, however, another supplement that used in combination with the sleep stack that I just described or alone can greatly enhance the quality of your sleep. And in particular, people who are following a low carbohydrate diet who have trouble falling and staying asleep seem to benefit from it. And that is so-called inositol. Now, inositol comes in different forms, but the form that I'm referring to here in terms of enhancing slow wave sleep is myo-inositol. There are an enormous number of studies on inositol for sake of mental health and for sake of enhancing various aspects of cellular function and for sake of improving sleep. I'd like to just highlight one paper. The title of this paper will make it clear what it's about. The title of the paper is The Impact of Myo-inositol Supplementation on Sleep Quality in Pregnant Women, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled study. Now, as I just told you, the study was carried out on pregnant women, but there have been other studies of inositol on other populations. And the major takeaway from these studies is that inositol can improve the quality of sleep and can adjust the architecture of sleep in ways that make it a great candidate for improving the structure and maybe also the duration of slow wave sleep in particular. I find that if I'm following a lower carbohydrate diet, which I do from time to time, I sometimes have trouble falling asleep, or if I eat 4 to 6 hours prior to bedtime, then I tend to be pretty hungry around bedtime. And sometimes if I'm exercising very hard or if I'm working a lot, even if I eat dinner around 7 and I go to sleep around 10 p.m., I might be a little bit hungry still at 10 p.m. In that case, I find that taking 900 milligrams of myo-inositol in addition to the other sleep stack that I just described greatly enhances my ability to fall asleep and to get terrific quality sleep. I do monitor my sleep. I do that 2 ways. I do that these days with my 8 sleep tracker, and I use a Whoop sleep tracker when I sleep. The combination of those two taps into different aspects of sleep tracking, heart rate variability, movement, etc. In a future episode, we'll talk about what are the best devices for monitoring sleep, which have certain advantages and others have disadvantages. But I certainly see it in the objective data, that is from the sleep tracking data. And I also observe subjectively that taking 900 milligrams of inositol prior to sleep, again, 30 to 60 minutes prior to sleep, can greatly enhance the ability to fall asleep and for me to stay asleep throughout the night. I also noticed another effect, which is that if I wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, which I often do, I find it much easier to fall back asleep. I don't tend to get into kind of looping thought and things of that sort in the middle of the night. And that may relate to the fact that myo-inositol has been studied in many cases for its role in controlling anxiety, that is for reducing anxiety. And that's one of the reasons, In fact, one of many reasons why people take myo-inositol during the daytime. There's studies of myo-inositol for dealing with anxiety, for sleep, as we're discussing now, and even for improving fertility and things of that sort, in particular in women. So again, 900 milligrams of inositol can be a useful tool. 60 minutes of exercise, as described previously, can be a tool. And certainly avoiding caffeine and alcohol is an excellent tool for enhancing the total amount of slow wave sleep.